good. Y'all hear good. All right, so um, welcome to Dispatching Drayage the Blueprint with your girl Asia Chanel. I'm so excited to have Jessica on. But before we dive into like the basics and what drayage is, what dispatching is, I asked Jessica what questions she had, and I'm asking her to repeat it because she had a very valid question that I think you guys might benefit from as well. So, Jessica, could you please come to the floor and ask that question again?
So my first thing is, does the dispatching industry have business hours? Do you establish your own business hours, or are you moving as much as the product is moving, and are they calling you all hours of the
Right.
night?
So I love that question. So it's different levels to it. So dispatching drayage, our business hours are pretty much are in alignment with the port's hours. So the port, like for example, the ports that I work out of, Virginia, it's like a 9 to 5 type of thing. Some carriers can go as early as 6 to like pick up their chassis or something like that. But typically the ports close at 5. I never have to worry about drivers calling me in the middle of the night at midnight or past 6 o'clock. Like this time, I never have to worry about that. If they are, they just kind of like chatting with me. You know what I mean? Not because it's an emergency or something like that. However, I think it's because we're specific to drayage and containers. Now, if they were to do like flatbeds or the other freight, like dry vans that we see over the road that you see driving at night, it might be a little bit of a different experience. But as far as what I do, as far as what I teach, I personally, if you do get one, I've never gotten anything past like 8 o'clock, honestly. But if I did, it would have to had been an emergency, and I've never experienced that so far.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but the good thing is, if they did call you, a lot of the stuff we can do like on our phones. So if it's something that you needed to look up real quick, you at dinner or something like that, you could,
Okay.
kind of get it done on your phone within a few minutes. Um, but nothing, I've never experienced that. So thank you for asking.
And then I know we had talked about startup, essentially, LLC, bank account, articles of corporation, just the same basic way that you start any business.
Yep.
Is pretty much the starting point,
Yep.
basically.
So the basic stuff that you pretty much need, like you said, your LCC. People can do an LCC, you can do a corporation. It's totally up to you. I started with an LLC. And like I said to you before, in Michigan, our LLC registration cost is only $50.
Mm.
So that's $50 for our state, for example. And then your EIN is free. Your business bank account, typically it's like $100 to open up a regular business bank account. And then that's deposited into your account. So it's not really like you spending it because it goes straight into your account. That. And then you might have to pay for like you already have a phone. If you wanted to get a number that's not your personal number, I recommend doing like a Google Voice number. Google Voice is free. What I still have for like this preservation company, I think I hopped on like Fiverr, and I had a girl, I paid like $10 for a girl to do like a professional voicemail for me and like a MP3 kind of audio. And then I put that as my um voicemail on my Google Voice number. But that's free. And then the stuff that we already have, like our laptops,
Yep.
phone. Something that I would recommend once you get into it is paying for a TMS system, and that's $100 a month. Yep, TMS. We're gonna be going over that briefly. That's $100 a month, the system that I use. But until you are ready for that kind of expense, you can just use Google Sheets or Excel to keep up with your loads. But you
Oh,
want to
okay.
keep up with your loads because you want to keep up with your money. You want to keep up with, what you've actually generated over the past week or the month or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, less than, oh, and then sometimes, like when I first started off, I paid for load boards. I don't pay for load boards anymore at all. But a lot of my relationships now, the business that I get now has been built on relationships with brokers. So they'll call me and email me now. Um, but with load boards, you can pay like with DAT, I think it's like $50. They have different tiers. You can pay like $50 a month or up to, I want to say even $200 a month. I was just starting with the basic one. And then they have trucker path and they have different load boards that you could pay for. The load board that's most specific to containers is called Load Match.
Load match. Okay.
Yeah, loadmatch.com.
Mhm.
But the thing with that is it's a little tricky because we can't get them as dispatchers. So you have to have your own authority. You have to be kind of like approved to get into that load board. So even carriers, every carrier can't get it. So how load match works is, I think it's really cool how they have their system set up. Load match is like they have load board postings for every port in our country, right? So for example, I have a load match login through one of my carriers in Virginia. But let's say that you have other carriers in Virginia and they keep trying to apply for load match, but load match only accepts as many carriers as there is freight. So they aren't oversaturating the market. So even if you get a carrier that's like, oh, I have my authority, I have this, I have that, they may or may not be approved for load match because load match may have openings for it, or they may not have openings during that time. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It makes it really cool once you do get a load match login or you do get, credentials to use load match. It's good because everybody doesn't have access to it. It's really like exclusive. I love load match. It's an exclusive little
Okay, that one is like the higher tier, or because it has every port in the country.
Yeah, but what's cool too is okay, so the carrier that has the login load match to Virginia, they can't see what's going on in Houston. You know what I mean? They can only see what's going on in Virginia. So you
Oh,
can see, like, if I go on load match, I can see what's going on in Houston, but you can't see the details of the load. You can't see the broker that posted it. You can't see their contact information, which is kind of the point. Some carriers or dispatchers go on like a wild goose, or they would do a lot of homework and a lot of digging to try to find that broker that posted that one. But that's what I love about low match because they keep everything kind of separate. That makes
okay.
sense.
Yeah. How and
Yeah.
so and is it like a waiting game to be able to apply for load matches? Is something that you have people trying it out like every month, every 60 days, or how
Yeah.
often are they?
That's a good question. I don't know what their trick or trade is. I have no idea. I think it just depends on because freight fluctuates. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So, like for example, all of the stuff that was happening in Baltimore when the bridge collapsed, a
Mhm.
lot of the containers were rerouted to Virginia. They were rerouted to New York, New Jersey. They were rerouted to other places. So the volume of freight opened up in those locations. And I noticed that some of my carriers that were in Baltimore and they had access to load match in Baltimore, now they can get load match to New York, New Jersey. Now they can get load match to Virginia, but it's because of the volume that's coming in.
Okay.
That makes sense. So we don't really know, like it's not, and it also depends on maybe some carriers fell off or they're not in the business anymore. So they close their accounts because they don't want to keep paying. So it just depends. But it's also not hard to get a carrier to give you access to their own match.
Oh, okay. That's what I was wondering. I was going to ask, was the bridge collapsing in Baltimore kind of like a one-off thing, or are things storms, things like that? Is
Yeah.
that like, I don't know. I was thinking of like this season of like where storms are happening a lot of time in the summer.
Yeah.
Thing you've noticed? Have you noticed anything?
Um, I've noticed that we get paid more. It's like when crisis be happening, the money be coming in. Like
Right. Crisis happened. Okay.
When that, I was like, I was like going crazy. Like March, April, it was like boom, boom, boom. And even like with, COVID happening,
Right.
that
Yeah.
was a big boom in our industry like that,
Okay.
so I haven't done or dealt with like storms so much. And it's probably because of where I'm based, like where my carriers are based in Virginia. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really be happening in Virginia like that. And then like New York, New Jersey is a little new to me. So I haven't had experience with tropical storms
Okay.
or those kind of catastrophes, but just what we deal with as a country, like nationally, those like emergency kind of crises, that's what I've seen. An increase in money.
All right. I'm sorry I took you off course. All
No,
right.
good.
Talking about
This is
match.
perfect.
You said low match, you can sometimes get access by what, like your vendor or carriers? What do you
Carrier. Yep. Carrier. Yeah. That's what we call
what
it.
are the good terms, like words to use? So it's carrier, it's what is a carrier? What are they
So
actually?
we are going to, let me see. So a carrier, let me just explain the difference because I don't necessarily have a slide for that. A carrier is the one who owns the authority. So you can go and apply for, your MC authority. You have your DOT number, and let's say you have 3 trucks for this example, right? So the carrier is the one who owns the authority. You're the owner of the company. The drivers are the ones who drive for the company. That
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So we have carriers and we have drivers. Carriers is also interchangeable for owner operator. Have you ever
Okay.
heard that term before?
Have, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So carriers and owner operators is the same thing. Is they're carrying the authority, or an owner operator, they have, the authority to operate.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, girl. Come on with your
I
notes.
know. I was like,
I love it. I
okay.
love
All right,
that.
go on your own. You know.
You ready? You don't have any more questions right now?
I'm gonna just interrupt if you don't mind.
Yep. No, that's perfect. All right, so let's hop into it. Let me share my screen. And I think I'm on a free version of Zoom, so it might time us out, but it'll give us a warning.
Okay. Let's see.
Let me share my screen with you. Okay.
It's cute.
Thanks. Look at my little. Hey, where you go? Okay, there we go. Put this down here. Put you over here. All right, cool. Dispatch and Drayage, the blueprint is your girl. Yeah, we got a lot to get into. All right. So what is Drayage? I'm not gonna read everything word by word. I'm gonna just go off of our highlight stuff. But basically, Drayage is the movement from port to the loading or unloading facility back to the port. So that's one thing that I love about Drayage. Everything that comes out of the ports, it has to go back into the port. Everything that comes out is round trip. Versus if you were to dispatch, not, shaming them, but when you dispatch dry beds, flatbeds, reefers, box trucks, everything is like a one way. So they can go from Michigan to Ohio, Ohio to Texas, Texas to Missouri. You know what I mean? Like everything is, and as a dispatcher, you have to give them a lot of credit because you have to be so like, you don't want to get them stuck in a dead zone, and you don't want to get them in a situation where, they gotta, like, let's say that they went to Houston, but now they gotta travel 300 miles to find their next load. That's called a deadhead. Like, we don't have to worry about all of the complications. We have our own set of complications. We don't have to worry about those kind of complications when we're dealing with containers. Does everything I go out come right back in, and it's better and easier to me for scheduling. So it's the movement of freight containers or large items come out of a port or rail or other terminal to the warehouse or the distribution center, which they also abbreviate as DC.
Okay.
And then dispatching is our role includes assigning the drivers and the trucks to specific loads, tracking the shipments, communicating with the customers or the brokers via phone, email, sometimes WhatsApp, sometimes text. And we play a crucial role ensuring that the shipments are delivered safely and on schedule.
Okay.
So the things that we talked about that you should have before you start, these are just some things that I kind of recommend. So of course you need your business registration that we talked about. The registration fee varies upon the state that you're getting registered in. You need your business bank account. These are things that you need. You need your business registration. You need your business bank account. You need to have some type of equipment. So a laptop or a computer, whatever, your phone, stuff like that. And then agreements and templates. This is the benefit that you guys get when you train it with me because these are some things that I just include in the training platform. But you need to have like little agreements to share with your carriers and your shippers. And basically, these are just things that outline your service terms, your rates, how much you want. If we're getting paid 5%, 10%, when I expect you to pay. If you don't pay, you owe me this by this time, X, Y, and Z. So it's not a contract where they're stuck or you have to do it for this amount of time. It could be voided or dissolved at any time, but this is just some protection for you and your company to make sure that everything flows the way that it's supposed to flow. And if it doesn't, you have certain systems in place when people are late, because it happens sometimes. A professional email address I kind of recommend. So instead of like the intermodal group at gmail.com, it's info at theintermodalgroup.com. And that's an easy thing to get through like Google.
Yeah.
And a factoring company, I like to use, it's a factoring company. We'll have to get into this later, but it's a factoring company called Tabs that I like to use to credit check the brokers to make sure that my driver is going to get paid. But that we're going to go through that more in depth later.
Okay.
Questions with this so far?
Nope.
Okay. Excuse me. So onboarding documents that you need from your carrier. I'm going to go over this list and then I'll show you examples of what each of these look like. So you need an MC authority, a SCAT letter, may or may not need a SCAT letter. As long as you have their SCAT code, it's fine. A UIIA letter, you may or may not need that. Some carriers like to give you that sheet. Some of them might not. We'll talk about that later. You need a W-9, which is
the tax form.
Yeah, you're going to need that when you're signing them up with new brokers. A notice of assignment is basically if they have a factoring company, they'll provide you with a notice of assignment, a COI, a TWIC card. Sometimes, like in the beginning, I used to make sure that I had a TWIC card, like a picture of their TWIC card on file. Are you familiar with the TWIC card at all?
I believe my husband was trying to do a job where he need a TWIC card. He was in the military. It was something about it.
Yeah.
Like I was what this is. So,
yeah. So a TWIC card, I think that you and I could go get a TWIC card, but a TWIC card is basically saying that you have the authority to access government-based facilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Archer Mariner, he was going to need the TWIC card, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the ports are considered one of those places. So they always need a TWIC card to go in and off. And it's up to you to decide if that's something that you want to keep on your files or not.
Okay.
Some carriers are hazmat certified, which means they can pull dangerous goods. So I like to keep those on file so that I know which class of hazmat they can pull and which classes they want to stay away from. And then the load match login credentials. As a dispatching drayage business, you will need to collect certain documents and information from your carriers during the onboarding process. These documents and information will help you to ensure that your carriers are properly licensed and ensure that they meet other regulatory and safety requirements, which is super important because if they aren't, No, you're going to have to keep going through carriers to make sure that they are. You don't want to do that. So the easiest way that I've found carriers has completely been online. I will go on Facebook and I will go to like those Facebook groups that say you can do dispatching groups, you can do container hauler groups or intermodal trucking, container freight, transportation freight, logistics, stuff like that. Facebook is a really easy way to gain access to carriers.
Okay.
Load match is also a good one too. I wrote here that it'll help you connect the shippers and the brokers with the carriers, but it's also a way for you to look up a list of carriers on load match that you can kind of like market to as well.
Okay.
And then I said, once you start establishing your reputation, carriers will begin to call you just by getting your number and your company names from other carriers. Especially when you get yourself acclimated with a certain port, like they're always talking to each other. They'll just be ringing your phone, like, "Oh, I got your number from so and so," and you may not even know the person that they're talking about.
Okay.
But each of these options will generate success for you and your company. Reputation and relationships are everything. Like it's the foundation of our business. So here are some examples of the documents that you'll need from your carriers.
Okay.
I give this out as a template during training. So a carrier dispatcher agreement, again, it just outlines like it's laid on this day, your company name, your email address, your company details, the carrier's name, their MC, their DOT number, and then the services that you'll be providing, the duration of the agreement, may or may not be included on there, the payment or the percentage that you want, the termination requirements. I've always said on my agreements, like you guys have to give me a 14-day or a 7-day notice before this goes void, but it don't be happening like that. And it's okay that it doesn't, because I'm not about to hound you. If you don't want to work with me no more, we ain't got to work with each other no more. Like it's cool.
But at least put something, don't leave it just void. I get you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But sometimes it's just like, stuff just go left and it's okay that it does in those
Okay.
situations. But what I don't let go left is my money. Like we got
Right.
to get
Yeah.
paid. So we're
Well,
not doing
the
that.
load is dropped off. Yeah. How do you get
Yeah,
that?
I need that. I need that. So here's an example of an authority letter. So an MC authority is a license by the FMCSA, which is the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. And this is the document that allows motor carriers to operate commercial vehicles across and within the state lines. So this is literally an example of what it'll look like. So you'll take their MC dash these 7 numbers and dash C, you only really want to focus on the 7 numbers, or sometimes the 6. The numbers that are in between these dashes is what matters the most. Because when you reach out to brokers, they'll be like, "Oh, what's your MC number?" You don't have to say MC dash 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 dash C. You know what I mean? You can just tell them that is the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. That's it.
Okay.
So you
Why
want to
would
make
they
sure that you.
like your, what kind of number is this for?
So it's let's say it's like a passcode for brokers to look up your company.
Oh,
So with brokers, they need to have the carrier's MC number because they're checking. They have to do their due diligence too. So they're making sure that you're in good standing. They're making sure that your authority is operable, that you haven't had any accidents and stuff like that. Let me show you something that they
are we would you be considered a carrier now at this point?
say it again.
So with Drainage, we would be considered the carrier now at this point when we're given this MC number. If we have something being delivered, whatever, is that why you're saying the MC number is given?
No, so this is documents that you need from your carrier to represent your carrier.
Oh,
That makes
okay.
sense. Yeah. So when the broker is asking for the MC number, we don't have MC numbers as
Oh,
dispatch. We're
gotcha.
representing as the face of the company, and we're like, this is the MC number. But
Gotcha.
we're representing it as the carrier. So let me show you something really quick. Um, let me see. Snapshot. So for example, I was able to pull up somebody's MC. Where is their MC number at? So his MC is right here. It's the 515-7774, right? But you see, they're out of service. It's out of
Mhm.
service. Like you cannot do business with this company.
With
It's out of service, right?
okay.
These are the things that the brokers is looking for too. So that's just an example of someone putting in an MC number that, is not operable right now. And then let's do one that is so that you can see what it looks like. Oh, dang it. 46, 060. So this one is showing it's active. It's showing operation authority status, authorized for property, you know,
Okay.
basically showing us green, like this.
It's up there. Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
He is not in a
So,
red.
so this company, this website is safer.fmcsa.dot.gov. What I like to do sometimes though is just I would Google search company, like I would just Google search company snapshot FMCSA, and then this will eventually pop up. But I'm gonna put this in the chat just so you can how to play
FMCS.
with it a little bit. What'd you say?
Oh, okay. I was wondering what you said. It's called FMCSA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I get stumbled because I'm like FMSCA, but it's FMCSA. And even if you put it into Google, it'll know what you're talking about.
Okay. And
Any questions with that so far?
that's how we look up the MC number.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. To make sure that the carrier's authority is in good standing and operable.
All right. Carry in good standing. All right.
Mhm.
I got it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the next one, you may or may not need this one. Let me put our timer on. So you may or may not need this, but you want to make sure that you at least have the SCAT letters. So a SCAT is a unique 2 to 4 letter code assigned by the NMFTA to identify transportation companies, but SCAT codes are specific to our industry. So it's specific to trucking, rail, air, sea, and like the ports and containers. I haven't had experience where I needed a SCAT code for like regular over the road freight. SCAT code is what allows a truck to go into the port. It's the way that a broker or a shipper is able to see, okay, if it was ABCD and it's Asia's company, Asia went in to grab our container at this date, at this time from this port. Like this is the way, and Asia's company returned it back with this same SCAT code. Like this is how everybody is able to see and keep track of who's doing what.
Okay. Okay.
So it's important for you to either have the letter, they could send you this letter specifically, or at least just obtain what their SCAT code is, which is it's usually a 4 number or 4 letter kind of code.
And this usually comes from the carrier who we would look up their MC number as well.
Not where you would look up their MC number, but this is the documents that you would ask them for that they should be able to provide to you.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Make
Okay.
sense?
Yep.
Okay. So the next one is the UIIA letter. Again, this is a document that carriers may or may not want you to get because it has their SCAT code on it, but it also has a password. And the UIIA, it's like a login and stuff that you could get. if they want you to have it. Some of my carriers is like, oh, okay, yeah, you can have it, no problem. And some carriers are just a little bit more protective over their login information, and it's okay. So if somebody gives you their UIIA, that's great. If they don't, it's okay. It doesn't mean that you can't do business with them.
Okay.
I like to have it. If they like to give it, I like to have it.
What is the benefits of having it?
So UIIA, so when you're doing containers, you have to have a specific insurance. So having UIIA insurance is basically, it's called Uniform Intermodal Interchange and Facility Access Agreement. So when you have UIIA insurance and a UIIA login, this is saying that your truck, your company specifically is going to be able to be insured to carry containers in case anything ever happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's important because when you have UIIA, there are, let's say it's just 100 different ship lines. So when you start paying attention now, you'll see it's containers from Zim, it's containers from Ocean Network, it's containers from Hapag Lloyd, from Maersk, from Evergreen. Like all of these, each ship line has different requirements and different things that you need to do to be approved to move that container for that ship line. So what I've run into is, Maersk and Evergreen is one of the higher, more exclusive, I guess, ship lines that you have to go a little bit above and beyond to be approved to move with them. So, for example, I got a container. It's going from Norfolk to Jacksonville, Florida, and it's coming back, but it's an evergreen container.
Mm-hmm.
But my driver gets to the port. He's having issues. He can't pull this evergreen container under his SCAT code because he's not approved with Evergreen Ship Line. So what I would do, or what I have done, is can you give me your UIIA login? I would log into their stuff and do whatever it is that the addendum is telling you that I need to do to get approved for that ship line. And I'm trying to do it the same day so that we
Mm-hmm.
don't lose this load. What I teach and what I want to instill in people that are getting into the industry is if they don't want to give you the login to their UIA, just ask them, are they approved with all of the major ship lines? Because you don't want to run into a situation where this about to be a $3,000 container. You might get 10%, 5% off of that, and we
Mm-hmm.
can't move it because you're not approved. Like it's simple. It's not hard to get approved with them. It's just certain things that you have to do. Like with Evergreen, you have to get it notarized. Like I have went to notary myself,
Yeah.
but like yeah, and my carrier's like, yeah, cool, don't worry about it. Like we about to try to get this moved. Like I need to make sure that you guys are approved with all the major ship lines here so we don't run into that. So when you explain that, they don't really mind for you to have their login, or if you explain that and they like, it's fine, we already are approved with so and so and so and so so and so. Cool. But it's very important for you to know, are you approved with all the major ship lines?
Okay. All right. That's a very good thing to
Yes.
know. Okay.
Like,
I
please.
put IIA, okay? And that's the
Yes,
question.
you have to be. And when you talking to, them, um, and you asking them, especially as a beginner, you don't want them to know that you're a beginner because we can fake it till we make it, and you can act like you know, even if you don't know. But asking them that, um, it just positions them to kind of respect you a little bit more and be like, oh, this girl know what she's talking about, or this guy knows what he's talking about. Because I've run into stuff where I'll go in and I'll find how to get them approved with Costco. And they've been trying to get approved with Costco. They couldn't get approved with Costco. I go in and do it in minutes. And they're like,
Wow.
oh my gosh, thank you so much. Which also could be considered an additional service like fee. That's something that you could probably do just to make some extra money, but it's always come with, my package of services or my service package just because I'm trying to make sure that we all got some money coming in.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
super important. UIIA is super important. You can't even run in and out the port without UIIA insurance. You
No
can't
one.
run in and out the port. No, unless they're leased onto another company or and they're using that other company's UIIA insurance, but you can't gain access.
People find ways to backdoor it or have packages. So
Yeah, for
I ain't
sure.
glad.
For
Yeah.
sure. We got to. I mean, you
Mm.
know what I'm saying? We gotta do what we gotta do. But no, as far as the port, you can't move in and out the port without UIA. You can't move in and out the port without a SCAP. You can't move in and out of the port without a TWIC card, period. So okay, let's go to the next one. Here's a W-9 form. You know what this look like. You know what this is about. Um, just making sure that it's filled out to completion and that it's signed at the bottom with the date. Sometimes carriers would do, like I've had an instance where carrier would do his social and his EIN number. And I made sure that I told him moving forward, don't send this out with your social on there because, you know, people, you can run into someone who won't do right by that.
True.
So if you did run into a situation where a carrier had both filled out, just, you know, gently remind them and let them know. And that's building trust, you know, with them as well. So W-9 form and a notice of assignment. So a notice of assignment or an NOA is a document that is used by the factoring company that the invoice has been assigned to the factoring company. What? So basically, this is where your carrier, how can I explain this? So a factoring company, matter of fact, I'm about to stop this and I'm going to send you another link so we can start at the top of this one.
Okay.
Okay.